Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Oh, is this your mushroom? That's very nice.
Hello there everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today I want to talk a little bit about my book. It's been a little over a year since I published this book and it's been in the world and I kind of just want to have a cozy little chat about it. Maybe let's pop it up there. Okay, cute. So as you know, if you have been following me for a while, I spent quite a bit of time working on writing this book. For those of you that don't know, it is a witchcraft book all about herbal magic and specifically about spellcraft. And it takes the beginner all the way through all of the steps of spellcasting and spellcraft and kind of takes the beginner to an intermediate level. It deep dives into intent and intuition. You go through all of the basics of tools and all the sorts of spell preparations. It really is chock full of all sorts of good things, and I will talk more about that at the end if you are interested in hearing a little bit more about the book. But for those of you that already know about the book or have read it and just want to kind of chat about how things have been over the last year with it, or want to hear a little bit more about the process, let's start there. But before we go any further, this video is sponsored, so let's hear a little bit more about that. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Squarespace is a website building and hosting company, and as I'm currently working on putting up a website, it is very exciting to get to partner with them. With Fluid Engine, a next-generation website design system from Squarespace, it's never been easier for anyone to unlock creative design. You get to start with a best-in-class website template and customize every detail with reimagined drag-and-drop technology for desktop or mobile. You can stretch your imagination when it comes to online design with Fluid Engine, built in and ready to go on any new Squarespace site. One thing I really love about Squarespace is their flexible website template. You get to get started with one of their professional website templates with designs for every category and use case. Then customize your look, update the content, and add features to fit your unique needs. You can make any Squarespace template do what you want, so your idea, brand, or business stands out online on every device and can be as unique to you as you dream. Another thing that I really love about Squarespace is the ease of working an online store. Whether you sell physical, digital, or service products, Squarespace has the tools you need to start selling online. So if this sounds interesting to you, go to squarespace.com/thegreenwitch to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring, and let's get back to the video. So I had never written a book before this one. It is a major undertaking and an incredible experience, but my goodness, there were so many things that I just didn't know or expect going through it. I think a lot of it I thought would go quicker, and then I didn't really believe that writer's block would be a thing, and then it was. Or at least I didn't think how much it could be, or just that when you stare at a page for so long, all the words kind of come together in one. So the process of it was such a big thing that took years, and by the time it was finally said and done and published, I don't think I really processed that it was done. I had also done all of the artwork in the book and also the cover, and all of these things together just made this my child, but also so much energy, and it was beautiful and it was meant so much, but it never felt like something that would be released into the world. It felt like it was never going to be finished. And it was also really hard to let go of it in the end. I think that was the tricky part for me, was the being okay with being done with it.
Yeah, is that how you feel about your mushroom? You can never let go.
So all of that is kind of to say that I think last year when I spoke on the book and talked about it being released, I hadn't really fully processed that it was done. And so much of this year has been experiencing that and learning how to feel that. Immediately right off the bat, so many of you bought the book and left the most incredible reviews on it. I really, it means so much to me. I don't even think that I have the words to express how many times I've been brought to tears, or just is incredible to me that something I've worked on can bring so much to others. I mean, that was the purpose of it from the beginning, was to create the book that I had always wanted to see, the one that I had wanted to read, and to see that I have been able to do that and touch people in the way that I wanted to is just, it doesn't even seem real most of the time. The gratitude that I have for you all who have purchased the book and enjoyed it and come to me with such thoughtful words about it. And at this point, the last time I looked was the end of September sales. I know we're in November now, but at the time I had sold over 8,000 copies of the book. I think it was 8,200 something. And that's just unfathomable to me that many of you have held this book in your hands and flipped through it or read through it, and it means so much to me that I just think I'm going to repeat that forever. And so much of this past year, with finally processing that this project was complete, and also processing that people were loving it and so many of you were reading it and getting it in your hands, has just, it just blows me away. And I just feel very lucky to be in a position to be able to share these things with you and to be able to express my love and passion for this. I know a lot of my job is teaching on witchcraft and herbal magic, but to get to put it down and kind of memorialize my understandings in words is such a privilege. Yes, it's such a privilege, miss. And we are very casual today with our mushroom. At this point, I do want to start talking about it a little bit more often. I think I was in so much disbelief before that I did the beginning chat, and then I know I still mention at the end of videos, but there's a lot to it that I think is beneficial to those of you who are just starting out, and I would recommend it if you are interested. At this point, I am on my next writing project, and I am having quite a bit of fun with that. I've talked a little bit about it on Patreon, and I will let you guys know more when I can. I have really found a lot of love for writing, and there's something even more beautiful in that for me. That wasn't really a medium that I expected to be delving into. It was something I always wanted to do, but again, it's a large undertaking, and I just never knew if I would be able to have that support to do it. And the fact that I've been able to cultivate the job that I have now to be able to fit these works in feels incredible and lucky. If you have any specific questions, maybe I can do a Q&A sometime soon if that sounds interesting to you on the book. I'm happy to answer any questions on the process of writing the book, or just the book itself, things that are covered in it. I'll hold a poll probably on Instagram sometime. Maybe I'll do that the days that after I post this video, if you have any questions on that. When I was writing, I really had a lot of questions, and if you find yourself in a similar boat, I would be really happy to answer them. At this point, I am just so filled with gratitude, and with another mushroom in hand, and I just wish that I could express it the way that I want to. It really means the world to me, all of you who have supported this. Apparently I'm going to just keep holding on to the mushroom because Hazel wants me to hold it and not play with her pretty well. Okay. Dog toy decorations. So I do want to talk a little bit about the book as just kind of a recap for those of you who have yet to read it or are interested and curious if you want to read it. Really, I'm just going to go through the contents of it and basically the index if you are interested in that. The book itself is meant to be read from the beginning through to the end. It begins with a lot of the base concepts of understanding. There's, of course, kind of an introduction, what to expect. This book is based in herbal magic and green hearthcraft, so very plant-based and also home-based magic. So if that's up your alley, all of it is deeply focused in that. if you practice in other ways, this will also benefit you. The conversation is around general spell work as well, but a lot of the spells shared at the end and also just the approach through it is with herbs. And there's a lot of conversations around herbal magic throughout it. So if you're interested in those fields of magic, this book is absolutely for you. The beginning, of course, starts out with that introduction to these areas of magic. There's a section on some ethics of spell work. This is especially focused around ethics of harvesting and plants as well as people. I think it's an important conversation that a lot of us are having these days and is important to me to include in a book like this. Sorry, there's squeaking happening in the background. I have to run up to the cabin today to sandbag, so I don't have as much time to sit down, and I would normally wait through the squeaks, but I gotta get running soon. So I do apologize there. We just are expecting some possible flooding. That's, I think, part of what makes it a cozy video though. And a chit chat. The next sections of the book dive into intuition and intent. These are the sections that I believe took the longest for me to write. I really wanted to hone in on what they are, how to connect to them, and the different aspects of them, the inflections and perhaps the different ways people work with each. So especially intent. It was very important to me to write a very thorough section on intent because I don't really feel that that has been done before, or at least in a way that I feel is very accessible for everybody. And so in there, I talk through 3 different methods of working with intent and how to connect to those each. And I'm very proud of this section of the book, and I think that that especially is very valuable to any beginner witch, and even those who have been practicing for a time but maybe want to build up their practice and maybe revamp some of their connections. After this, the next sections serve somewhat as a collection of reference guides. So I have a directory of common tools and ingredients, what they're used for, which ones you would really maybe benefit from depending on your style of practice. None of them are necessary by any means, and I really try to dive into it in a way of this is what you might want depending on what you want to be practicing. That's kind of a theme throughout the book. It is very much a guide to help you build the practice you want to have, not just do this and do that. It's meant to be curated to yourself. The next section kind of dives into herbs and herbal magic. There is a good section explaining how to read herbs, and when you see the gender, element, and planet, what that means, and a deep dive into each of those aspects of herbs, and just to give you a far more solid foundation of working with herbs and herbal magic and understanding the inflections carried within each herb you come across. A large emphasis throughout this book is to give you the tools to deepen your practice and understand how to do it through all of these aspects that I just feel are not regularly spoken about. And so there's quite a bit of a dive into those things. There's an herbal compendium that shares every herb that was mentioned in the book and used in the spells in the back of the book. So if you find me writing about an herb, you can flip to its profile and read more about it. Or if it's used in a spell, you can see why I chose to write it in. Then we hit another one of my favorite sections. It is the spell preparation section. This is something that I have been working with a series through on this channel for a while now. It's broken down into 2 areas: traditional spell preparations, so just strictly magical spell preparations, and also medicinal spell preparations. These are base recipes for each of them, so you can take this recipe and put any kind of herbs or magic you want into them within reason. And there's an explanation of what is best to choose and why within each. It is quite the deep dive into all of these and should serve as a very strong foundation to build from. In here I talk about spell bags, spell jars, burning herb bundles, hanging herb bundles and wreaths, spell candles, powders and loose incense blends, simmer pots, along with all of the medicinal preparations such as herbal infusions and decoctions, bath teas, infused oils, salves, tinctures, herbal honeys, and syrups. Like I said, I've been teaching on these on this channel. I have videos that go along with each of these spell preparations in the book. They should work together. There's definitely more information in the book than in the videos, but for those of you that are more visual learners, the videos should serve as a very helpful addition to the guide in the book. From here, the book shifts into discussion around timing, such as practicing in harmony with the seasons, the rhythms of the moon, so sun and moon, how those energies influence magic. And then it gets into, I think, the other area of the book that I'm very proud of, the section on spell casting, which will take you all the way through the steps of spell casting, spell adapting, which is how you can look at the spells I've written or any spell that you've come across and understanding how best to adapt them to suit your needs or what you have around you ingredient-wise. And then there's a section on crafting a spell completely from scratch, and it will take you through all the steps to build that up. So this book is really full of all of the things that you need to become very confident and comfortable with casting spells and successful at it. And of course, the very last section of the book is the spell compendium, where there are 50 spells for you to work from. You can use them as is, or adapt them, or be inspired and craft one entirely your own. So there's a lot of meat in the book, and it really will take a beginner to an intermediate witch. I think once you hit intermediate witchcraft, there's very few books that can take you all the way beyond, because at that point it becomes so personal and you need to develop your own understandings. Of course, continuing to read and continuing to learn is a big part of continuing to build your craft and your mastery of it. But this will get you to the place where you are fully comfortable in spellcasting and with magic. You will hopefully have the skills to connect to these energies and the eye to understand what you are most drawn to. And that's the goal, to get you to a place of building your own practice that is fully your own. And ideally, this will continue to serve as a reference guide for you. I still flip back to it when I am making spells, or especially the medicinal recipes. I like to read through the sections on the base recipes quite a bit. I come back to it for the herbal profiles quite a bit, and I have heard from you all that you do too as well, for those of you who have read and enjoyed it. So all this to say that it has been a wild journey, and a little over a year after this is published, I am still in such disbelief but filled with so much gratitude, and I'm very proud of this work that I have been able to create and share with the world. It's crazy to me to walk into the bookstores and see it just on shelves. It's out there and real, this tangible piece of something that was in my head for so long. And it really just means the world to me how many of you have enjoyed it and written me with such thoughtful things. It brightens my day and brightens my week, and it means so much. If you've made it this far, I hope you've enjoyed this kind of cozy conversation, and I hope if you have not bought the book and are interested that you do. It is linked in the description down below in all of the different places that you can find it. It's also sold in person at quite a few bookstores, and if that's more where you want to go, it's worth checking online if they have it. And with that, I think it is time for me to close out and get a move on to go sandbag the cabin. Do you want to go to the cabin? Do you want to go sandbag the cabin with me? Yeah, sounds good to you? All right, well, we're about to go do that. Yeah. Sounds good. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you are having a lovely day, and I can't wait to see you again soon.